Jeff. Wow, it's been so long. How's your wife doing? She's teaching second grade now, right?
Yeah, good. Doing well. Yeah, she loves it. But for some reason, it's been a while. I haven't seen you at Hawthorne recently.
I know. You know what? Cooper has changed schools. He's now going to a big picture school called the Met.
Okay. Is that like a boarding school, charter school, private?
You know what? Many people haven't heard of these types of schools. These two guys created this type of approach where they put the learner first and they help motivate students and create a safe, learning, enriching environment. And you know what? They teach students one at a time. Can you believe it?
How's it going?
Oh my goodness. You know what? It is so incredible. It's a total different way of learning and teaching. The curriculum and learning experience is all designed for what my son Cooper is interested in and passionate about. You know, the school bases the students' interests as the guidelines for their instruction and help prepare them for the world outside of school.
Yeah, I mean, our school does that too, I guess. Teachers give Johnny, word problems on his math homework for real life, real world problems. He actually just wrote an essay. He had to go to the library, research on how to be a vet. They were talking with him on where to find things about, learning to be a vet, real world research type stuff.
Action.
Let me ask you this though. Was that project made for just one specific subject?
Yeah, I think it was for social studies. It was his favorite subject, and yeah, they asked him to create a job about an essay about a job he wanted to have in the future. So he went by, followed the rubric, just kind of prepping for college type stuff.
Yeah, it's so interesting, but I do have to tell you, the Met where my son's at, your son's passion for veterinarian and becoming a veterinarian, it would have been created into his learning experience. So first of all, they would have taken his passion for helping animals and becoming a vet and made it the center of his...
Go for it.
It's going to be the center of his academic experience. The teachers would know this about him and base all of his personalized instruction around the experience of becoming a veterinarian. He would start at an internship at a veterinarian office, be able to work amongst vets and animals, learn the way of the job. And you know what? Instead of these 45-minute little time chunks of social studies and language arts and math, he's actually going to be using all of those subjects in collaboration of being a veterinarian. It's all surrounding his passion and his motivation to become a veterinarian. They get them out of their environment and they make them learn real things. And they're going to be able to apply their knowledge by getting out into the community, transferring their understanding into real world experience.
Now.
Yep. So, how do the teachers find out about the interests of the kids? I mean, aren't there so many kids in each class that they fill like a questionnaire, take a test? I mean, I'm really confused. Was it something that he had to do to get into this type of school?
Action.
Well, these big picture schools, they're much smaller. The teachers, they're called advisors there. They take time to get to know the student. For instance, they got to know Cooper. They got to know our family. At our school particularly, Cooper has one advisor and is part of the same group of 13 students all 4 years of high school. Then, by working with Cooper, the advisors are able to figure out first what he's interested in, passionate about, what motivates him, how he is learning the best, and then my husband and I, Cooper and his advisor, sit down and make a huge educational plan. We figure out, based on his end goal, Cooper's end goal, the desired results that we would want during his time here. Then, once we figure out the ultimate goal, we're able to backwards design from his passion. Typically, teachers focus more on teaching and not learning. They spend most of their time, thinking about what they're going to do, what materials they're going to use and give to our kids, and what they will ask the students to do rather than considering what the learner will need in order to accomplish the learning goals. At the Met, they focus on the 3 R's: relationships, relevance, and rigor. They build relationships with the families and the student. Then all the projects and work that the students do must be relevant to their lives, needs, and passion. The learning must hold meaning, and without relationships, how do we know it's relevant, right? So at this point, they then identify the desired results of the individualized learning plan. Then they determine what's going to be the acceptable evidence, right? And then the student and the teacher, with the family, who obviously knows him the best, they Then determine and create a plan for how this student's going to learn and what it's going to look like and what the experiences the student will have in order to accomplish the goal they established.
I mean, it sounds like you have such an involvement in your child's education. I can probably barely get a hold of one of the 6 teachers John has at his school, and then let alone plan a whole learning experience with him. I remember last time we talked, I felt like you said Cooper was having a difficult time staying focused in school. Like he was bored, the teacher would just talk. Is he more motivated now?
Oh, well, you know what? This author of this book that I've been reading, he's actually the creator of the school, he says this, that personalizing education means personalizing the support that each student receives, but also greatly increasing the amount of responsibility each student has for his learning.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about responsibility. It would be nice to see John take responsibility for his own learning. I mean, it's like pulling teeth to get him to redo assignments. I mean, anything beyond playing video games and TV, it's like no chance of doing a standardized test or his homework, right?
I know. And you know what? Jeff, Cooper used to struggle. He used to struggle with all of that when he was at Johnny's school too. But you know what? He was bored. He was unmotivated. He was disinterested. You know, now I have to go tell him to go to bed because he's constantly studying. He's always trying to research more about his topics, and he's really putting forth a lot of effort into his work. And you know, he wants to complete the test. He wants to learn more. He knows how to take initiative now. You know, I don't have to tell him each time, like, oh, you need to do this, this, and this, and then you can play video games. He doesn't want to. He wants to get this work done.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, you learn through your passion. So basically, you point the kids on the right direction, pursue their passion, and then you trying to tell me that Cooper likes going to school?
Absolutely. You know what? When we were at Hawthorne, Cooper would go to 2 class periods before getting noticed. He walks up to the gates, and there's teachers standing there welcoming him with open arms. They're talking to him. They have things in common. They know his interests, so they're able to create these conversations with him. They let him know that they're happy that he's there.
I know. I feel like every time I pick John up from school or we sit down to dinner, it's like, how was school today? Oh, fine. I'm like, why don't you ever expand? Because he says he's bored. Teachers just talk at him. He really doesn't get much out of it.
You know what? The advisors, they aren't just teaching 1 out of 300 students. They're sitting there and they are working with each individual student, treating them alike, but how they learn and what their passions are. You know what? They aren't listening to how the people talk, and you know, or they're not listening, the kids aren't listening to the teachers talk.
Go.
You know, he's not just one of the 300 freshmen. He is known there. They treat the students with kindness and respect, and they make school exciting and fun for them. You know, those are huge factors in the school system nowadays. And you know, at the Met, the students, they come up with an essential question. That gets that they ask these questions about what they're interested in. That guides their learning. They complete real-world activities with the learning through internship model. Then, once a quarter, they're able to prove their mastery by sharing their experience with a panel of their peers, their parents, the teachers, you know, and they share their learning experience, and it's completely individualized. Everyone's education plan and journey looks completely different.
So do they not have tests? Is it one of those type of schools? Like, what about, how do they rate progress? Is there standardized testing, or how do they measure success, I guess?
You know, Cooper used to be so nervous about these tests at the end of the unit because they would have to retain all the facts that the teachers taught at them. And you know, there isn't standardized tests that fit each diverse learner, right? So there's other ways to show true understanding.
Right.
For instance, Cooper, he's able to take the knowledge that he has. He's able to ask critical questions. He's able to apply it. He's able to interpret this knowledge and turn it into something wonderful in the real world. He's able to look at it in different contexts. Transferability. He's able to transfer this information and have a better, deeper, critical, more,
Functional?
Yeah, you know, it's just, he has this great understanding. It's not just he knows the stuff and he's able to tell it to you. He actually understands and comprehends his understanding.
Well, I mean, it seems like one of those things where it's like so personalized. The teachers really put the learners first. I mean, I would love my kid to go to this type of school. It sounds amazing. How would I ever get John into this type of school?
You know, wouldn't it be nice to not have to go to a specific school to get this kind of education and attention for your student?
Yeah, it would, but that's just not the way things work. It's not reality.
But, you know, it could be. It sounds like you have your essential question to start your learning experience right here. What's your vision of a perfect school for your child? Of an effective teacher, an educated person, and a life learner? Who around you shares this vision? You know, what would it take to get you involved in making your vision a reality? Change begins one step at a time, and you know what? One teacher at a time. The first steps that would be that you would need to take in order to start is getting an introduction to this book.
What book is that?
Oh, you know what? This is the big picture. The author is the person that created, the two authors are the people that created this school.
Dennis Littky?
Yes, you know what? Dennis Littky. And you know what? Change begins one step at a time. And you know what? If it really opened my mind to what I wanted for my child and their future, and maybe you can pass it on to your wife as she's a teacher, and then she can pass on her knowledge and ideas from this book to her fellow coworkers. And you know what? Maybe it will catch on and better our school systems one step at a time.
Do they sell that at Borders?
Hi, I'm Bethany Ringholm, but I'm not Marie like you just saw in the video. I'm actually a teacher, not a mom. And after being assigned this book, it has changed my outlook on how I'm going to educate my students. As you can see, I've worked within the book. I've been flagging every paper, every page. There's highlighter marks everywhere. I've been writing in the margins. I literally had a separate piece of paper next to me where I would write things I'm thinking to be in my classroom and changing. This book has given me motivation to be a different type of educator than our students are used to. This is allowing us to see the big picture, to teach our students based on how they learn, what they want to learn, and what they're passionate about. We continue to work with families, but not just having them come in doing copying and having them work in our classrooms with our kids. I mean actually sitting down with them, creating a plan for each individualized child, getting to know our students one at a time, changing the way that they learn, and giving them an opportunity to not only learn the concepts, but understand the concepts. To not only just take the concepts, regurgitate it on a test. No, it is actually using these concepts, using their understanding, interpreting this understanding, and taking it to the real world with them. I really guarantee that if you read this book, you'll want to be going back to school. You will not care that it's summer, and you'll be wanting to go back to school today. And you're going to want to change your lesson plans. You're going to want to change the way you run your classroom. If you're wanting a change, or if you feel like you can make a difference, read this book. It's definitely a motivator.